I've always been really super interested about how to make my art better. I was in this really excited to have a conversation with Gay Hendricks, who's the author of one of my favorite books that talks about this very thing in your life, in your art, and your creativity. It's called The Big Leap. And today, you guys, he's going to join me and share some of his wisdom with this. Gay, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Nicholas. This is a great honor and privilege for me because I'm always happy to talk about The Big Leap. And it just so happens that the sequel to The Big Leap is coming out right now. It's called The Genius Zone. And I want to give everybody a little peek into what's in it. In The Big Leap, you kind of learned a roadmap for how to make that jump into your genius zone. And in the genius zone, what I've discovered is a special key. It's kind of like opens up a back door to the universe as far as opening up quickly to the flow of creativity within you. So I show you a special technique of how to figure out when you're blocking your creativity, and a special move that you can make. I call it the genius move, that opens up that direct communication with the flow of creativity in you. So that's why I'm so excited about having everybody. I want you to get the book and sit down with it and give yourself a solid hour or so to learn the main principle, because it's a way that you can directly use. It's like learning how to ride a bike. It's like spend a half an hour doing it, 45 minutes doing it, and you'll have it for life. A way to connect with your genius at all times.
Right. So, I'm stuck in my art. I'm stuck in my art. It's been kind of mediocre. What kind of advice, like what are the things that are some ideas that can help artists that you've seen? I mean, you're people that work with you, CEOs and movie stars and all kinds of sports figures. You help people unlock themselves to go to a higher level. What are the main things that those of us listening here, in our studios, like what are some ideas that could help move us towards a higher level in our art?
Well, the main thing that keeps us stuck at any given time is some kind of limiting belief that we're using, what I call the upper limit problem in the Big Leap, the tendency to sabotage ourselves when we kind of stick our head out above our prior conditioning. And what I need everybody to know is that those upper limit beliefs, none of them are true. They're all things that are just there because you have a certain fear in your life. So get underneath those upper limit problems and figure out what your fears are. And there's only a few of them. There's the fear of outshining others, and there's the fear that there's something fundamentally flawed in you. There aren't very many of them, but they all require a kind of looking inside, a loving look at yourself. And if you can get in the habit of doing that, then you move right on through those upper limits into what I call your genius zone, where you're doing what you really most love to do.
But I mean, how do we know? Like if I feel that I'm less than, or if I don't think my work's very good, how do I convince myself otherwise if that's actually how I feel? I mean, I know maybe it's not true, but I feel like it's true, which is debilitating.
Well, that's why you have to use a new approach. And the one I'm suggesting is to take a more open-hearted view of yourself. Um, if there's something bothering you, there is always something underneath that needs to be faced and accepted. And if you can get in the habit of asking yourself, what am I having difficulty loving and accepting in myself? Each one of those things needs to be directly loved. And if you can learn to love those aspects of yourself, even the aspect of yourself which doesn't love yourself, that's how good love is. That's how big love is, that you can learn to love the unlovable in yourself. That's our big task in life. And as you begin to do that more and more, you open up that direct dialogue with the wild creative genius that I think everybody has inside them.
Right. Like the state of wild creativity and feeling free is not encumbered. That's not a place where you are actually preoccupied by those questions. It's not part of it. You might have that before your art making, but you don't really, it seems to me, in the present mode, when you're present and you're in your art, those are not, they tend to fade away a little bit. That at least for me.
Well, that's true. And there are several symptoms of living in your genius zone. One is you tend to lose track of time. You enter the timeless.
Oh, I
So
love that.
you need to have some good time cues, whatever you use to remind you of the time, so you don't miss dinner.
Yeah.
You don't want to do what I call pull a full Rilke. I don't know if you know this, but Rainer Maria Rilke, the famous
Yeah.
poet, got so caught up in his writing a poem that he decided he didn't want to break his concentration and go down and walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. And so he sent down, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make it. I don't recommend that approach because I can imagine what happened around the Rilke household later on that afternoon. But we all need to honor the environment we're in, but also need to learn to live in that timeless state where you're getting that direct creative juice. A second symptom of living in your genius zone is that you don't need a lot of it to bring forth a lot of results. Like I thought up
Huh.
in one day, in 10 minutes, I thought up a business that I later sold for $10 million. So 10 minutes, 10 million in the zone
Yeah.
of genius, it doesn't really matter. And so to me, if we can learn to occupy that on a daily basis, it has a way of satisfying us that almost nothing else ever does.
Right. It's like what we're all after. I think that's what we're chasing in our art making. We have these moments where we lose everything, and it's, a lot of artists are, whether they sold it or not, or whether they didn't, compared to the moment of that feeling when you actually drop in, like that's, you can have that whether you're selling your work or whether you're just beginning. You can, and that's what I really focus on, on showing artists to pay attention to that, because that's what where that's this powerful lever that you're speaking of, the 10 minute, it really, it can fire you up for a month.
Yes, and that's one of the great gifts of directly plugging into the creative zone in ourselves, what I call your genius zone. And it's not that hard. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I think everybody has that spark of genius in them. You don't need to have any special qualities or background education or anything like that. It's all available for a.
Yeah.
I always say we're only a breath away from our true creative genius.
Man, I love it. And love talking to you about this. So I'll put a link down below for this new book. You guys, you really got to get The Big Leap as well. I would get both of these for your library. Seriously, this has influenced my teaching. It's helped my art tremendously. Gay, you're an inspiration. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Nicholas. It's my pleasure.
Hey everyone, if you found this helpful, I have a whole lot more to teach, share, and inspire you with every single week. So please join the Art to Life YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Okay, great. Let's do this.